As long as we record the meeting.
Yeah.
She can put it on the website.
Yeah.
We'll give it one more chance here. What was it? Remember our planning meeting, Jason? It looped too.
Did it?
Yeah, remember she had to go out and. As long as we record the meeting.
Yeah.
She can put it on the website. Yeah. We'll give it one more chance here. What was it? Remember our planning meeting, Jason?
Sorry, Steve.
Did it?
Yeah, remember she had to go out and. As long as we record the meeting.
Yeah.
She can put it on the website.
I feel like I'm in a time warp.
Yeah, same. I'm still recording the meeting to the cloud. It just won't be live streamed. They can figure that out. Let's try this again.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order Public Works meeting. Let me just moved by Jason, seconded by Steve, that the Public Works Committee meeting be opened at 7 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Jason, seconded by Steve, that the agenda for the Public Works Committee meeting for November 1st, 2023 be approved and circulated as amended. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Jason, seconded by Steve, that the minutes of the Public Works Committee meeting held September 6th, 2023 be adopted as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interests? Seeing none. Delegations, presentations,
None for this evening.
correspondence, information.
The first piece of information I gave you is just to let you all know that through Circular Materials Ontario, they did put out their RFP for the transition of being a receiving facility for our area. And the winner of the RFP was GFL. And that's where all recycling material through SEMO will be going for processing. We don't have any bearing on any of that. It was just as information.
Right.
6.2, I don't know if you recall at a council meeting, we had one lady in the crowd.
Yes.
She came forward asking if that we could provide some gravel to Rockridge Lane. And a few years ago, it's probably more than a few years ago, they used to have $2,000 in the operating budget for assistance to private roads. It was a first come first served basis. The council at the time felt that it was not fair, as it wasn't given to every private road and they could not afford to do any assistance above the $2,000. So they had the $2,000 removed from the budget. Currently, the CAO is attending a Zone 7 meeting in Sault Ste. Marie the next few days with the OGRA. And there's going to be conversation on private road maintenance, liability issues, agreements. Does it work? Doesn't it work? So she'll gather information on that basis and then she'll bring it back to me and we'll present that to council. Often the private roads ask for some help, especially in the spring for like steaming. So it's a topic that would probably need to be addressed as it's coming forward. I could write back to Mrs. Mars in regards to such, and that it's not in the operating budget. However, conversation will be brought to council in the future.
Right. Sorry. Okay. Moved by Steve, second by Jason, whereas the Public Works Committee recommends to council, a letter be sent to Mary Mars in response to her letter for assistance on a private road, and that private road assistance is not in the operating budget and that a discussion will be had at AMCTO Zone 7 meeting regarding the topic, and report will be sent to council for this information. All in favor? Carried. New business?
We had a meeting with all the landfill attendants, myself, Sam Penna was our clerk. With the new CAO, anytime we have a sit-down meeting, we like to take minutes and record those minutes. We have our staff sign off on those minutes. So that we know they had their attendance there and they were understanding of all the conversations that was held within the meeting. This meeting the purpose of the meeting was to let them talk to see what is working down there, what's not working down there, if they could see if there is ways we could improve efficiencies. So it was a great meeting. I included the minutes from our meeting in the material in your package. And then I had some actions that we wanted to bring forward to discuss that were brought up through our meeting. Ironically, a lot of the conversation in our meeting was previously at our council and is kind of in the bottom here with our council referrals. So it all coincided well together. They also indicate that there's an issue at that end where traffic's going this way and coming in this way. I know it was spoke about at council to make all traffic flow in one direction. However, it doesn't really work. It's not wide enough. Some people only have garbage, some people drop off construction. So they would always be going through that recycling area. And like it or not, that's a conversation area for most of our residents on a Saturday morning to talk it up. So the conversation led to putting a do not enter sign at the end. So any traffic that's coming through recycling would have to exit out through there, but nobody's to come back in through the end.
Right.
We have residents that are climbing right into the metal bin to remove material. I understand why they want to do that. They think it's better that it's removed and repurposed instead of placed in the landfill, but it's not being placed in the landfill. It's actually going to a facility, and we're paid for that service to be. We get paid to help pay for the cost of the landfill. So they said they would like a sign there so that it's plain as day that you're not to be climbing into the metal bin and picking out of there. Just to help go with their verbal concerns. They're also concerned that someone's going to get hurt. Honestly.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody should be climbing in there. I mean, it's like I said, it's going to the scrap recyclers.
Right. There was concern about how fast people drive in there. I understand that. I did work the landfill for a few months when I first started here, and I have witnessed people put it in the drink on that corner coming in, especially in the winter time. So we posted a 20K sign in there and a reduced speed sign to help alleviate that problem. We did have a sign in there that said, be prepared to stop, but I'll admit it was old, not very visible. So we rectified the matter with a 20K sign. They did speak about taking turns on different areas in the landfill. I'm cool with that, but I don't want it to happen during shift. So if they want to do a rotation by the week, I prefer that they stay in where I know they are for the day. So I know if someone's contacting me, what's going on, or if a resident may have an issue, which area they're in, I know who is in there. I just think it's easier to deal with it that way than trading off during shift. So then so we've stated that we will have a cycling schedule.
Is there, like in the landfill, is there like a lead person in there, or is it just everybody's kind of just?
Everyone's on the same playing field.
Right.
with one employee that's usually at the front,
right,
who has been here the longest. So he would technically be the,
I guess what I'm
Yeah.
getting at is, does all staff like contact you, or would just the one senior
usually-
staff
it
contact you?
depends on what. So if there's an issue with the clear bag policy, generally the attendant is contacting me at the front. If there's an issue happening within the recycling area, that person contacts me. So we discuss that because I get it could become mundane or burdensome as we're still going through this progression to always be the one being yelled at or
Yeah,
whatever. We also talked about written procedures and protocols for non-compliance of using black bags and not recycling. I have a report further in the agenda for that. Some improvements that they would like to see. We talked about how we could make the LCBO return collection better. We have some large white totes. You'll see some people carry water in those totes. We had some where we were thinking we could take the top off of one, put some holes in the bottom for water to still go through. And then that way people could just place their cans, all their beer cans or cooler cans inside that bin. Plus it's not in the way, it captures it. You're able to capture more instead of always messing with the stuff. And to ask if the resident can dump the bag in. Just because we do have issues where the residents being awesome and bringing like 20 or 30 beer cans in a clear bag and setting it there, but it's all often mixed with water bottles,
right,
right? So then it just gets, the whole bag gets put into the recycling bin. A smaller container for the glass so it doesn't get broken.
going back to the last one, I mean, the residents might as well try to start getting used to that, because in 2025, that's
Right,
gonna be
we need to do
all,
it.
we need to do it, there's
Yeah.
no choice in the matter, so.
Which is great to go into the next topic, the education on recycling and contamination. They felt like maybe if we did like a 1 month promo, that's not a promo, I guess, but like an education series. Excuse me. So like 1 month we can go through, let's break down our cardboard. We'll do something on the social media platform that we have now at the township. We'll do handouts. We'll reinforce that. And then the next month we'll start with, let's take all the metal lids off of our glass containers. While we still have the opportunity, because we do have to get that contamination rate down to 4%.
Right,
We've started also letting people know that we're closed on November 11th. We posted a sign about 2 weeks ago, and we started handing out mini flyers as well.
I got one on the weekend,
Okay. So I think there's plenty of notice, and we are open on Wednesday evening. Actually, today we put the tower lights up, so we'll see how that goes. We may have to move them as we figure it out.
right,
It's not something that's like close on the radar because it could cost some money. They were thinking about like preventing items from entering the landfill that are in decent condition. So not that you're not supposed to be picking, but we're like, hey, keep your eye out for some tin roof sheeting or whatever to build like a lean-to, where the person at the base could say to someone, oh, maybe someone else could use that. And they can be placed under that lean-to, and then people can take from there. Then they're not in a dangerous situation. I know in the Sudbury landfill, they sell everything for $5. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a bicycle, an armchair, a refrigerator that works or whatever. $5, everything's $5. And that money also goes into, their money goes to the fire department, but here it would go into our parks and recreation mandate. And it also it allows no one for picking, and it keeps it clean, so it's not in the dump and making people go, I don't want to really take that. And then we would leave it there for 2 days and remove it. If no one's gonna take it in the 2 days, we would just place it where it needs to go. And like I said, it's not like, it'd be something we could discuss more maybe in the spring, to see operationally what we would have to spend to get that to run, just to be able to protect the items from the
Right.
weather.
well, you almost got the lean-to
We're working on it.
there,
Yeah,
you had old concrete pad.
yeah, down at the below.
Yeah.
Just needs
But
a
does it,
tunnel.
will it have to be outside the footprint of the landfill? Isn't that scavenging?
I'll reach out. I believe the CEO mentioned to me that like. A township on the 11 corridor also does it. So I'll see how they work it.
Guess
And
if
be
they
sure.
your C of A.
Well, I think that in Sudbury, they don't actually physically touch it, the people
Right.
that work. The attendant says, hey, do you mind placing that over there? And they place it. So it's not
Right.
even being picked, it's removed from vehicle to the lean-to. And then the big conversation was held about how we promote and make the residents that are complying feel better about complying. Sorry, I have a cold. But most people are complying, but the few that are not, it makes those that have been complying since July 1st feel sort of robbed that they were good, but the others are not doing well. So we thought about having a contest on the best recycler in Bonfield. They could have a ballot box simply at the recycling area. Oh, I see you're recycling today and you didn't bring any black bags. They get a ballot and they enter it into a draw. And the prize would be a food cycler.
Yeah, it was a good gift.
Yes, actually the CEO come up with that idea.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good prize. I mean, it's worth striving
Totally
for.
goes together,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So that we can promote those that have been doing well with and complying with our recycling mandates, as well as just doing the right thing. And they were kind of excited to have that. The attendant at the front gate was the one that brought that to our light. So that was the meeting. And we have a motion based on the actions that we would like to take on that meeting. And if you have more questions or anything, feel free.
Yeah, we're gonna discuss the non-compliance further into this.
Yeah.
Okay. Moved by Steve, second by Jason, whereas a meeting was held with landfill staff to address concerns and improvements to the landfill to ensure safe operations as well as increase efficiencies. Therefore, the Public Works Committee recommends to council that the recommended actions contained in this report from the Public Works Manager be implemented immediately. All in favor? Carried.
We'll put more wax on there.
We had 8 unfinished business.
I still have one for new business at 7.2.
Okay.
Okay. So this is about the procedure for the non-compliance issues we're having at the landfill. Fortunately, the staff there don't know anyone. They're kind of new to the area, which works in the township's favor because they don't know how to treat anyone any differently than anyone else. So, good evidence is that one staff member didn't know the mayor was a female.
Huh.
Just saying, so they don't know anyone. So often when they have issues, they have to send me a photo. You know who this is? I know most people that are here. So like trying to make sure people abide by the rules. We don't have the authority to use a license plate and go to the DMV and say, hey, can you tell us who this person is? So we're trying to figure out a way to identify people that are not complying. So you'll see in the report, we came up with a strategy where everybody's landfill pass, when they come in with a black bag, they're gonna get like a final chance agreement kind of idea. And we're gonna punch a hole into their card. So when somebody's at the gate, they see that hole and they're like, you've had your chance because you need this pass to get in here. And then we've described a notice that they would be handed. This is your last chance to bring black bags to the landfill. This is what this indicates, that I punched a hole in your card. And next time you come with black bags, we'll be taking your card. So the next time they come with black bags, they take their card. Oh, I see you've already been given your chance. Now they keep their card and ask them to leave with their black bags. There was a bit of discussion, as I think 4 weeks. No access to the landfill. If they're doing what they're supposed to, it's 4 bags of garbage
Right,
that they're hoarding at their home. The card will come back to our office. The clerk will put the name and address on the card. They have to pay a $25 administration fee to have their card reactivated. And then they get their card back still with the hole that says you've already had your last chance.
and they have to come here and address it, right? We're not mailing it back.
They're not mailing it back. They have to pay for it to get it back.
Go ahead.
So just on the 4-week hold the garbage, like. I don't know if that's any benefit, quite frankly, if it's gonna cost them $25 to get their card back to be able to use the landfill at all. If they, cause I don't want them dropping their garbage off in another area of our municipality, obviously they don't. If they're already that stuck in using black garbage bags and not caring about our landfill life cycle enough, they're probably not gonna care enough that they're just gonna leave their garbage in other places within our municipality. So my concern is, I would rather have them have access to the dump and just keep fining them $25 every time. We'll take their card. And it's come back, you can get it for $25. And if we're charging $25 every time they bring a black garbage bag in, I don't know how long they're gonna keep that up for.
Well, we did discuss a $5 charge for a black bag and just let them
No, because then they won't
use it,
stop.
but
Yeah.
I agree. I like Jason's idea. Go ahead,
I
Steve.
seem to remember, 2 different things. I remember that if people brought in black bags after the clear bags were enforced, that they were just going to be asked to dump their garbage out of their black bags to make sure that they weren't like dumping recycling into the landfill. And then I also remember the $5 a bag scenario. So I remember 2 different versions of this.
Yeah,
Right.
well, what I think the problem is now is when they dump the bag, the people don't want to pick up the stuff that goes to recycling.
it's
And
becoming an altercation.
putting the employees in a bad spot, so just adapt to the clear bags. And then, or I kind of like what Jason said, take the card and come to the office and it'll be dealt with here. The staff at the landfill should not be abused by people that can't follow some simple rules.
100% agreed. I just remember like when we originally said this ages ago, people were up in arms that, they bought a lifetime supply of black bags and who's going to replace their bags. And I remember saying over and over again, after the date's over, you're just going to be asked to dump your bags to prove that you're recycling properly and that you're not dumping recycling into the landfill. That it wasn't necessarily about the color of the bags. It was just if you're using black bags, you would have to dump them out and remove your recycling.
But what stops them from buying black bags still? I mean, they can go on with that excuse forever. We were pretty lenient. We gave a hard date. We're there. I mean, it's time to convert over. But the staff should not be penalized or abused for this. I mean, when we take their card, they can come into the office and we deal with it here.
It's starting an altercation, and as well, the staff are not going to like force someone to open the bag. And they feel if they allow the bag to stay in the landfill, then it's viewed to others that they are not doing their job. And that they're
Right.
allowing the bag to come in.
I mean, what is a case of black bags worth? I mean, it's not the end of the world, I wouldn't think.
Mhm.
So just practically speaking, so the person who's working the gate will now be actually coming out of the gate house to view, cause listen, it's in the back of my SUV, I say I have one, it's never been. Like nobody's ever checked,
Mhm.
right? So not only are they not checking how many bags, well, they don't know who I am,
Yeah.
clearly, but. They're not only not, they're just trusting that when I say one, it's one, and then two, they have no idea if it's black or clear in the back of my vehicle,
Yeah.
so.
And I agree, it should be caught at the gate, not up at the face.
So in the minutes, you'll notice that we did list off what their duties are at each position. And it's the inspection. You are the inspector of the load. You're also the one that's supposed to initiate. Okay, so you have recycling, it goes there, or you have a fridge, it goes there. Clear bag, black bag, count bags.
Right, but in order to that to happen.
Yeah.
I mean. we have
Right,
to
so it
come out of
was
the
in the
building.
minutes and signed off.
Perfect, I mean, but like I said, no means do we expect the staff to take any abuse.
And it's very minimal people,
Right, I mean, it's a few with the black bags,
yes.
so,
I know it's a tough conversation. Because in that conversation, we also don't want people to have garbage piled in their yards. Or thrown into the ditches, or we also discussed what happens if a neighbor takes it for them. Well, if there's a penalty, the neighbor doesn't want to lose their rights to the landfill either, right? It's a privilege to be able to use the landfill.
absolutely, and I mean, as far as throwing garbage on the side of the road, I mean. We just go through it and find a name and we contact the police,
Yes, and it's in the bylaw.
right,
It's
I mean,
fine.
that's. And then it becomes a police issue, not a township issue. I mean, like, this should be a non-issue from black to clear. Every other municipality is going that way or gone that way. The cities are going that way. We need to get on board. We need to protect the landfill.
It's just more difficult because we don't have collection. If we had collection, we would have that choice of leaving it on the curb. And nobody's there to say, hey, you didn't take my garbage. They'd be calling Public Works or Environmental Services. Where it's more difficult in a depot to make sure all these items happen.
Right,
as
and
opposed to
this is why we
collection.
should catch it at the gate.
So why don't we just say they can't drop it?
Period. That's what we want to do. But how long? We just make them turn around every time?
Well, is there any different than just leaving it on the curb?
No,
Well, it's actually your point of like,
Right.
if we had garbage collection, you just leave it on the curb. Well,
right?
then you just turn around.
Yes, you have to leave.
And like I said. They verbally abuse the staff, then we. Try to figure out who it is. Does the swipe card not have our information on it? Like who we
Does,
are,
But not physically to the
Well-
attendant.
but like when he swipes it, it says. What the resident house is?
No,
no.
we have that on in a portal.
But he could say.
If he was to
Card
record the
368,
Mhm. If he recorded the number, then we know who it is.
Well, that's what we'd like to ask.
yes. It just, then it's, It identifies the person and we send a letter stating any more, verbal abuse will not be tolerable and you will lose your landfill privileges. I mean, people gotta get on board with this because in 2025, we have,
No, it's provincial mandate.
right, there's no, we have
It's
no.
part of the climate change action plan, it's part of. So the card. Will remain with the resident? I know it's tough. And if we need more time to think about it, we could bring this back to a council meeting.
Go ahead, Steve.
To Jason's idea, if we are turning them around at the gate and leaving them their card, that does give them the opportunity to go home and switch bags, sort it properly and come back.
Yeah, and I guess we know the card number then. I mean, and if it persists, then you punch it, or you take the card and,
I would say if they're abusive at all to our staff, remove the card.
yes, I agree with
Thank
that.
you very much. We'll be keeping a card. You can pick it up at the land.
At the office.
At the office.
Yep.
If it escalates to the point of staff danger, because I mean, now you're taking somebody's card and depending on, obviously, we're not like record the number, give them back their card. Staff safety is the top priority. and we'll deal with it
Right.
other ways, but yeah,
And if they go in and dump it, so be it. But we have the number, we know who it
Right.
is, and then we deal with it from the office.
It's just, and the whole reason this topic came up is they just wanted clear instruction on what they were to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a reasonable,
So we'll rework this and we'll bring it to the council meeting on the 14th. If that's okay.
yep.
So this is the referred. Is that okay with you, Steve?
Yeah, like I say, like I was fully supportive of the clear bags. I was one of the biggest people that was behind it. But you're coming back to us saying that some people are being abusive to staff. If we're turning people away at the gate and taking cards and things like that, it will get worse, not better, for sure.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's like Ann said, it's a few and.
Yep.
The staff is not there to be beat up over.
Right.
You know, this, so. Take their number off the card, take the card if it persists and this is what the office is here for. I mean, to deal with irate people. Not,
Yep.
it's the staff to deal with it.
and again,
I'm in.
sorry, yeah, just make sure your staff know to like protect themselves, and if it's taking the card or
Give it back.
taking those actions are gonna cause an issue, just write the number down.
And do what they need to do and,
Right, absolutely.
okay.
All right, number 8, unfinished business.
So just for information purposes, through that meeting we had with the landfill attendants, this was brought back to the Public Works Committee. Councillor Clark didn't feel that the flow was quite right at the end, and we also all agreed. So we put the do not enter sign at the end. I have a do not exit sign, so I'd have to purchase a do not enter sign. I looked everywhere.
What about a one-way sign? Do you have that?
I have a one-way sign,
Do we not,
one-way arrow.
what is the distance between the recycling bins and the furthest point where it'd be safe to drive on? Do we know that?
I would have to measure.
Cause I'm just thinking if we had, where
Move some
2
stuff.
rows of cars can come in through here and then cone off. I mean, the landfill, the recycling attendant will just have to cone off out to a certain section, so through traffic to go around. This, where they cut through here,
It'll be easier once we're farther away from recycling.
right? And as long as, if we can block traffic from coming, cause this is what really
Yeah, right
messes
here.
things up when traffic comes back around the wrong way. I mean, we could, yeah, I'd like to look at if we could get 2 rows of cars for recycling, if they pull in straight. And then cone off, like kind of divert it where the through traffic goes around. Just an option to look at.
Yeah.
If not, we just do it the way you're suggesting, but
Just don't let them come back out.
yeah, I mean, unfortunately,
Yeah.
you know, when you have a lot of signs, people don't read signs,
Yes,
so.
that's what I said to them. I go, do you read every sign that says moose?
So we could try it that way, and if not, we cone
Do
it.
you have an exit only sign?
No, we don't have anything like that in the township, to be
Yes, we
honest.
can put an exit only like in
Yeah,
left when you come in.
Right,
I did, and I don't have a do not enter. I have a one-way. We'll figure it out,
So one way with an arrow,
yes.
hopefully that is a good start.
We're not used to that out here, no, I'm
Yeah.
kidding. Um,
8-2,
then we discussed our LCBO, like how to make it a better system for collection. Which is identified in this report, which I kind of ruined for you since I discussed it previously. We do have a motion for that. Now, we did want to start like a bit of a social media as well with the
sure,
township. Discussing about why we do that, make sure it's clean, free of plastic cans or mixed bottle. Stuff like that, and
That's a
the
mixed bottle.
ginger ale,
Oh, sorry. An actual max.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Moved by Jason, second by Steve. Whereas council refers to the Public Works Committee to find a better method of collection LCDO returns to increase revenue that is directed to parks and recreation programs. Therefore, the Public Works Committee recommends to council that a large system of collection and social media campaign commence to educate the public of the program. All in favor? Carried. Don't throw it as hard, it doesn't come up. Referrals for complaint tracking,
None.
managers report.
So we've completed the Development Road and South Shore Road project. Due to the close ending of this project and this meeting, we still haven't got all the data compiled into Citywide with all of the time sheets, so we'll have that ready for a full report at the council meeting, to explain, all the expenditures and how close we are on budget and all of the, internal amounts that it costs as well. I can say that it was about, we didn't spend any of the, we didn't buy any polymer, we didn't use any of the contingency. However, I did spend $3,000 more on the chip and tar itself to go edge to edge into both intersections. So I guess I dipped into the contingency, but it was never over the budget that was presented to council. Everything went well. The day we got the chip and tar down, I don't think it stopped raining since that day. So we got it down just in the nick of time. We do still have a few concerns of dust. But I did tell them by spring it'll be done. I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna plow off whatever there is for dust, because unfortunately, if it keeps raining, it never allows for the dust to dissipate from the road because it doesn't go into the air.
Right.
So everything went well there and on our budget. The Pine Lake program is complete as well. Actually, it was quite nice to drive into Pine Lake. It doesn't have a pothole from one end to the other, and it just poured rain, which is not like our township due to the lack of our gravel costs and expenditures. And it's the first time that it's been graded in the 21 years of the grader operator without pulling stone out. So he thanks you.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. I mean, it does a nice lift on there and
Yeah.
it should last for years and.
A few years anyway.
And I mean, it lightens the load, like,
Yes, it does.
every time it rains, you don't have to run to every single road.
Yes.
You can prioritize now.
Yes, exactly.
You get one road, you don't have to rush.
Yeah. Go ahead,
All right.
Steve.
Only because I'm not knowledgeable about this at all, and Holly asked me, and I seen it before Holly asked me, and then somebody else asked me. On development, heading towards the lake, right before the mailboxes, there looks like it's been patched already on the road. It's like a different color, it's like very obvious rectangular. Was that like a patch job already on the road?
Yes, so there is a few deficiencies and we will totally blame that on the rain. However, Duncor will address those deficiencies. They warranty
Okay.
the work, so they'll come back in the spring and make sure those are all rectified. So we put,
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
so we fix it right now so that no water can get underneath.
okay,
Yes, or else
okay, so that's what that was, that is a patch.
yeah.
Okay.
Some smaller little things we've been doing, like I saw, all the winter sand is up, we got all the trucks ready. For the winter plowing, we took the floating dock out. Removed all the porta potties, power washed them, did all of our final grass cutting and all the municipal properties. Nothing grew actually with all that rain, I'm surprised. We've changed out 4 entrance culverts now, back into our landfill maintenance routines. We're really trying hard to get the roads to freeze without potholes. October only has 6 days of sunshine, which makes it very difficult to keep that from happening. And now that it's snowed and we're gonna go into freeze thaw events, we'll do our best.
Grading becomes very limited.
Yes. Colpatching Development Road, and we caught up on most of our service requests.
Phone. Waste and recycling.
The rest of the package is just for information purposes. We don't have any motions coming. As promised, we're keeping the Public Works Committee up to date with all of our recycling rate weights. So you can see the progress with the clear bag system that we're using. You can see that every tonnage for cardboard, plastic, paper, and glass and electronics is over where we were last year. So the program is statistically proven that it's working.
It's good.
Just a little update about our Wednesday evenings. We started doing, we bought like a little clicker that we count everybody that comes in and out of the landfill. On our September 20th, we had 79, the 28th, 64. October the 4th was the Wednesday after we were closed on the Saturday, and we had 120. And then 93, 72, 88, and tonight before I came in, it was at 62. Most of those people are coming in between 4 and 6. So we're trying to also be mindful of the time in case at the end of this pilot, we can adjust the time to make it work better, or to have Wednesday's evening still open. So once again, it's for data purposes, so you can see how your pilot project's going.
Hold on.
So those are pretty strong numbers, honestly, for a Wednesday that we're open a short period of time. The only way, like, it's great if the majority's coming from 4 to 6. But the only way to make that work is to actually shift somebody's work hours so that they are coming in later in the morning, because you can't pay somebody for a 2-hour shift.
No, it'd have to be a 3-hour shift,
Right,
right? So it'd be 3 to 6, or
right, that's what I'm saying, or we adjust somebody's work hours and they work from
Right,
whatever, it's 10 to 6 or whatever it ends up
Take
being.
2 hours off the front and put it on the back.
Right,
yeah. So the pilot program is till December 31st, and I think that was council's point, and they would like to review it.
But it's still, but for 2 hours and buy, rent those lights, that's.
What we didn't see, I didn't see it either, is like, cause now we have the lights there, but we're needing them for the last half hour of the day. So we need the lights because now it's not dark the whole shift, but it's only dark for the last half
But it
hour.
will be soon. And
Yes, next weekend maybe.
yeah,
When the
like we're losing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna lose an hour, and it's, by 4 o'clock, 4:30 is dark in the darkest point of the winter.
Right. And it's still nice enough outside in the evening too, like it's not 40 below yet, it's not,
Right,
right? So we'll see how it progresses,
right.
but at any time we were able to shift that, it would just have to be a 3-hour shift. So I attended a meeting in Calvin. There's several new staff members there, as well as a new council. So the CAO in Calvin Township invited CIF to come to the Calvin Township and to do a presentation. CIF is the Continuous Improvement Fund, and they're the group that has helped all of us municipalities move along the transition through education and support systems. So they were there to give a presentation similar to the presentation that I had given the committee when I had to put it all together a few months ago about the transition. What came to my attention on page 14 of the slide deck is that there is now 2 alternatives for opting in. When I presented the information to council, there's just the one alternative for opting in, and that was us becoming the contractor to CMO, and they would dictate how we deliver the level of service in our depot. Well, now they've come up with another statement of work where we would basically run the depot and then they would pay us for it.
But then wasn't that you can opt,
You can opt out.
but you're opt, and they're forcing you back in anyways.
Well, you can opt out, however, they choose where the location of your landfill will, or your recycling depot will be, and that could be 1 hour outside of your municipality.
Well, isn't it already chosen like R&D?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think, well, the lady from CIF, Robin, or Janet, sorry, she said no depots opted out. Yeah. So we did have a conversation, we did have a motion of council that we were trying to sit back and wait to see what happens to the 2023 transitions of depots. So we could get more material from them. But just to keep you all up to date, there are those, now there's 3 options instead of just the 2 options. I think if it keeps up this way, I think the option of us still being responsible for the level of service, but SEMA would do all the hauling still, they would basically be our miller,
You know, they pay for the attendant at the recycling,
yes.
so.
Instead of dictating to us how we're going to run our recycling depot. There's still the 4%.
Right,
Yeah, contamination rates. Another big conversation again was the ICI, the industrial, commercial and institutional recycling that will not be allowed to be recycled. It's actually flabbergasting the options. So if we allow them to recycle in the township, we would be charged at a rate of $200 per ton at 3% of our population. Currently, we pay $45 a ton. But we would have to pay $200 a ton for our businesses to recycle at the landfill. If we don't do that, and we kind of ask our businesses to get their own recycling bins at their businesses, they are not allowed to recycle. So the only option is to allow them to recycle in our recycling facility. And do we charge them? Is the township willing to pay the $200 a ton for the businesses to recycle? It's 3% of the population. So that's a conversation that everyone's still trying to argue with the statement of work and the agreements. So it's still on the table, but I don't think there's
Because-
much movement.
the township office is considered
Institutional.
institutional, schools, like,
And what are we supposed to do with our recycling then?
So the businesses, either we pay for it as a township to
Sure,
allow them to use our facility to recycle their material,
okay,
or
they get their own.
they get
bin.
their own recycling bin, but they're not allowed to recycle it anywhere. They would be putting it in the landfill.
Could they not take it up to GFL?
I didn't get that from the conversation with Janet.
No, I didn't either, but I mean,
Yes, Dan was also at the meeting as a public works supervisor for Nipissing. And it was like a big hot topic because
it just doesn't make sense.
0.
we're supposed to be encouraging people to recycle, we
Right.
made it significantly harder.
Right,
Well, just imagine, we only have 3% indicated as ICI. Imagine a city of North Bay
and
with all those businesses and
Right.
institutionals. I don't know if the city would, just like the township of Bonfield, would we collect it for them and then take that cost and put it into ask the businesses to pay for that cost? Or are we gonna allow them to throw it out? Or,
Well,
well, we,
the only way that you do that is, I'm sure, is you would have to. The township would pay for it, but ultimately it would just be put under our commercial. Tax rate, I mean, it has to, it would.
right, something has to change,
Right.
or
I
the
mean,
township
that's not-
wants to encourage business and not to charge. There's a million
Well, no,
conversations that would have
yeah,
that
like,
from that.
but, yeah, so now our residential tax rate will bear the burden of a commercial.
Recycling
right, I mean,
program.
that's not fair for someone that's making money for the residents to pay for it.
Right. That's, but yeah, from.
But they're going
a
through-
wellness standpoint,
and then-
absolutely, the only
Right.
way to keep your.
They're going through MPAC to determine what the bit, like, if it's a
What our
business.
ICNI was, because at first they wanted to say that everybody had 25%. Commercial property, so I had to go through the MPAC assessment codes. And I had to prove that we only have 3%. But what's kind of not great is 3% includes the Trans Canada pipeline,
Which
which,
generates nothing here.
right? So it would be automatically, we're charged 3% at $200 a ton. So whatever our tonnages are right now, that 3% of that would be what they would consider our IC&I.
Yeah, I mean, then further conversations need to be held because like I said.
Yeah.
The pipeline generates nothing here. They should know, like, that should have been brought up long before this, we got this far into it.
Right, when do you go to your conference?
January, I think January.
Because there was quite a bit of conversation about putting some pressure back on AMO. Dave Gordon, he did a lot of work with this, but we're finding that we're coming to just a wall. So they would like for AMO to get more involved again with it.
Well, there needs to be,
That like AMO was totally there for all the legislation that occurred and the agreements and the RFPs and the buildup of the transition and but now that all the transitioning is happening, they're thinking that some of the little details are getting missed and that maybe AMO would be better to bring those forward on behalf of the municipality.
because even in that meeting, if you opted out. By the end of 2025, they opt you back in, like there's no opting out, they force you in. So,
I can only assume that at some point this will make sense.
well, they've been working on it for a bunch and for a long time and it's still not.
There's a
making
lot of
sense.
changes all the time.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a series of changes that will hopefully follow.
Yes.
Things like, sure, I get where they're going with the 3% of the tons and whatever, but. You know, they have to account for things like.
Okay.
The pipeline. and
Well-
for Unactive commercial properties.
So in small municipalities, what do you, 3 in the office here, how much recycling do they generate?
Right.
And same with us.
Well, we actually, every flyer, we probably generate a lot of paper.
Yeah,
to
but
the
that's,
community,
your
that's
flyer sits in my recycling bin.
right. So the
So
flyers
it's
that we
not-
produce within the township and the mail outs and
Yeah,
your
but that's
tax.
not,
Yeah,
that's not being produced out of this building though, like it's being produced, but it's not.
It's being recycled in my recycling bin, not the one sitting here.
That's right. But they're calling us a pro, basically. We're a producer of recycling.
Yeah.
So businesses that bring in their products, they put it on the shelf, they produce recycling because they brought those products in to our municipality. So that's how the province is viewing it, that they should be responsible for their own instead of the
So
profit,
if the convenience store sells pop,
right?
those plastic pop bottles.
Right, that's
They're
why
only
they want
for-
them to pay more, or we pay more for them to recycle. Cause they're kind of putting it into the,
Either way, whether we charge or we pay as a municipality, or the businesses pay. Well, the businesses are gonna just up the cost of product to offset that cost. I mean, that's how the economy works.
Right,
maybe at the next meeting, actually, we'll take our weights and see what our 3% would
would
be.
be before,
Yeah, times the $200 a ton, and we can
right,
start working with some numbers to see where we're going. And like I said, this decision, the transition doesn't happen until the end of 2025, but for sure, we're gonna have to make a decision whether we're opting in or out. I would say likely in the next 6 months.
go ahead, Steve.
Devil's advocate, we could do both too, right? Like township could pay half and the individual businesses could pay half.
Yes, it's gonna be quite a discussion for sure.
Yeah, let's see what the numbers are, and like, do we know?
Businesses would still be paying the full brunt of it. We only get our money from the business, from the taxpayers, so at the end of the day, whether we say we pay half, it's still the taxpayers paying it.
And like, we don't even know what infrastructure we're gonna have to rebuild or build for this new recycling in 2025.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I think it looks like that we'll have the same, because it says like that they'll rent or purchase the bins on our behalf. Like I said, it almost looks like the one option of opting in is just like we run it now, except they're the ones that pay the bill.
So ultimately, this could be significantly cost saving for us,
Yes,
which would then more than offset the cost of what it would be to pay for our commercial.
right. And look at cause RPRA only gives us 50% of our recycling costs. It's supposed to bring us up to the 100.
Yeah, okay.
Anyways, that was the new information that was received about the transition. And for our next meeting, we will see what that 3% impact is. Because there are user fees, there are other ways where it doesn't affect the taxpayer. Like if we have to, however, how do you dictate that? Like
Right,
Samson's, not that I want to use just names, Samson's only put 0.23% of the 3% in the bin, and how do you say that the red and white only put cardboard but not the plastic and cans? Like, how do you dictate what the weights are when you don't have a set of scales?
yeah,
Lots of stuff.
yeah, there's a lot to digest and think about.
That's for sure. So that was my little update on the transition, and we'll bring that 3% as a dollar figure for
Yeah,
our next
that'd be-
conversation.
And then, you know, we can know if we have to really get excited about it.
Yeah, it could be talking.
It's just not fair
about-
because they're
Right.
charging us the $200 when we know right currently we pay 45.
Right,
Yes, that's what. Bucks. And I swear someone said that it was like provincially on an average, it was about 125. So I don't really know where the $200 comes from.
someone's gotta make profit.
Well, I don't know if they're including like the hauling and the recycling facility, so that may make it $200. I'm not sure.
You wouldn't, yeah, the problem is nobody knows where they're getting.
No, we don't know the part.
Yeah,
And that is all I have for you this evening.
all right. Moved by Steve, second by Jason, that this meeting be adjourned at
7:57.
7:57. Yeah, all in favor? Carried.
Have a safe trip.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Antenna.
No problem.
See you, Steve.
See you guys.
See you
Yeah,
later.
okay.
You see, you're being on the side of the side. You'll be notified of the recording this one. Yeah, I don't know what the